It's been a good morning if you're a Team Expert fan, but the Zealots, maybe not so much as they are down 2-0 to Expert. Now, does Expert walk in here in a game number 3 and close it out, or do you think Zealots have some spice in them? Can they come back?
I think the Zealots can come back, and they've shown so far that they have what it takes. But let's not forget that Expert was the one team that really rivaled in the last season the 3rd spot. And they said Ethero makes us stronger as a team, and we really want to aim to go to the Western Clash. We want to hit the top 3. We want to make sure that it's not about the big 3 anymore in Europe, that we are another team that they have, that we make it the big 4, basically. And this is the phase where they are trying to do exactly that. So for them, it would be great to get out here with a 3-0 victory. But of course, the Zealots are going to take a close look in the short break that we had at what happened, and are probably going to try and bring in a different strategy.
Different strategy is put it all on Shad and let him carry, man. I believe in the Shad.
You're such a fanboy.
I'm such a fanboy. Battleground number 3, where are we going in this best of 5 series? It's going to be Sky Temple, the Zealots with the pick.
And here this is exactly what I mean. The first game was lost by Zealot, and they take first pick, first ban. They want to make sure that they have the edge in the draft. Now they lost again, and they know if we lose another map here, we are out of the series. So instead of taking the advantage in the draft, they actually decide to take their opponent to Sky Temple. So that basically tells me that they first of all feel very confident in playing Sky Temple, but also that they might have something special prepared. So this is one of those comfort zones that they are saying, this is where we can take it.
This is the battleground that I wrote last week. Impressive Avatar play by Shad. Greymane and Sonya were also particularly awesome. So this is where they had the composition where they did a really good job of making sure to play around the cooldowns, the cursed bullet setup, moving in for the fights, and this really took the battleground and just shut down the playing ducks. So this seems to be a battleground that they like the flow of. So them coming here is actually a very vote of confidence here for me. I think they can pull it off.
I would not be surprised to see an Avatar ban early on from Experts to shut that down. But another hero to really consider for this map and the European scene is still the Vikings. We don't see them on this map as often as on other maps, and it depends highly on which team plays here. But especially back in the beta and alpha of Heroes of the Storm, when we had 2 strong Spanish teams, the Spaniards were really looking to play Vikings on these maps. So I'm curious to see if Shad might deviate towards the Vikings if Avatar is banned out, or if Expert just says, listen, we're not even afraid of the Avatar here, we're going to let it go through.
Wouldn't mind seeing some Vikings gameplay. It's also a great testament to have a Vikings pick because you get to get a feel for your team. Okay, my team knows how to handle this pressure. They know how to pull it off. And I would love to see how the Zealots work together to make sure that the Vikings could work. But let's wait until they actually do get picked up, if they even do so.
Yeah, exactly. We're not there yet. So we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but let's see what's happening with the ban. And yeah, apparently the Experts agree. They banned the Vikings right away.
Thanks, Expert. What a kill.
Killjoys.
Yeah, man. Killjoys coming in here. All right, so Vikings has been banned. Zealots going to get their decision here. Ooh, does Expert, are they making a play here to take the Avatar themselves?
Oh, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. Avatar is still strong, and this is one of the maps where you don't see him as often as on Cursed Hollow and on Towers of Doom, but it's still a very good map for Avatar.
It is a really good map for Avatar. You have to be careful of the Dahaka at some point, but other than that, you can play around it. That's where we saw it last week, in fact, actually. Zealots played it into a Dahaka and were able to rotate and use the small brush stocking timings to their advantage, which was what really impressed me. Zealots thinking a lot on this one. I don't think they were expecting that Vikings ban.
I'm actually liking that we are seeing more target bans against teams right now and not simply meta bans. Casting North America yesterday, in basically every single game we had ban on Genji and a ban on Uther, and it was very clear that teams are banning meta over target bans. So in this case, it's slightly different. Expert, of course, researching Zealots know that the Vikings might be an issue and ban them out. I'm not sure if I'm surprised by the Dahaka ban, if I like it or if I don't like it, because them removing Dahaka makes it even more attractive for the Experts to pick Avatar now. The question is just, and they do it. So I would have probably left Dahaka open and just said, either if you take the Dahaka, we can still pick Avatar if we're confident playing an Avatar into a Dahaka, but now they're in a situation where they have no global against it. So they go for a Nuburak and Genji. So you can definitely play that, but removing the Dehaka empowers Abathur even more.
Yeah, I wonder if Zealots were trying to maybe call a bluff here and see if Expert would move straight into it. But, I mean, even though Expert hasn't shown it much in the HGC, I know that they're a team that dabbles in everything. Why wouldn't they pick it up? That is like the prime condition where Abathur is like, okay, that's a free pickup. You gave us an advantage with that Dehaka ban.
It's a bit of a weird situation, though, because if you play the game, let's say any other hero is banned by Zealots, then Expert can say, okay, we pick the Dehaka now. If you pick the Abathur, your Abathur is going to be a lot weaker because we have a global that we can play around with. And if the other situation occurs, then you find yourself still in a bit of a weird spot. So at this point, Zealots, I feel, have just taken a calculated risk, have said, yes, if we get the Abathur, we're completely fine with it. But if Abathur goes over to Expert, we're still okay. We're going to take a Nubrak and Genji. They immediately pick the two, and we have a strong start into our draft. Abathur is going to be a nuisance, but we should be able to deal with him a lot easier than dealing with the Dehaka and his constant side soak during the temple phase.
Quite the conundrum, that's for sure. Zealots do answer back, though, with an ability to engage right away. The Nubrak and the Genji gives them the idea of, okay, if we see a symbiote happen, we have a few seconds, we go in and we go straight for a kill. And if we can get a number advantage, that's where you can excel against an Abathur. So Genji and a Nubrak, a great foundation for the Zealots, but Expert answer back there. We have our Uther and our Vola for them, so they already have the makings of one that can solo support if they need to, because they have Uther. But if they need to, they can rotate into multiple tanks. They can do whatever they want to and allow Abathur to do whatever they like and just kind of control the battleground.
I would like the solo support Uther for them, because for me personally, Abathur is
pseudo support.
Yeah, he's a bit of a pseudo support, especially if you go into the shield build. But even without it, he just brings enough that really helps you. So Zealots right now with their ban, targeting the front line would probably be a decent idea here for them.
Let's see what they're going to go ahead and go for with the ban here. Once again, it's going to be the Malthael, actually. They're going to go ahead and just take him out.
Yeah, Malthael with an Abathur and Uther support sounds like a pretty horrible thing to deal with. So I can see that. That's valid.
Big open map, too. I feel like Malthael, if he has an open area.
Malthael plus a tank on the side of the Expert would have been great looking at the draft here. So Zealots, after the first game, definitely just thinking about Malthael is not happening here. That also says, on the other hand, that they themselves are not even considering picking him up. So maybe they didn't really practice enough with Malthael. Maybe he doesn't fit into their playstyle and they feel uncomfortable with him. But the Experts, they know that they have the Illidan players. And with Genji already being a highly mobile dive hero, they don't want to give them a second. So Illidan already banned out, and now we're going to see what Expert are really up to.
I like the Greymane hover too. Right now in the draft from Team Expert, when they were hovering the Greymane as a ban, just realized, okay, here's what Zealots ran last time. How do we foil their plans so they don't get the absolute amazing comp they want to have on this battleground? This way Abathur thinking about getting rid of the Genji, but they thought about it. A Nubrak Genji, hyper damage, hyper engage, maybe a bit difficult. Get the Illidan ban. Zealots on the right side here will be able to pick up that Greymane if they would like to, and they've pulled it off multiple times, especially here on Sky Temple. Wondering about their support. They've been showing a bit of a favoritism towards Rhaegar when they get the chance, so we'll see if they get that.
Yeah, I would say that Grandpa is also pretty decent on the Oriel, but if you want to play Oriel here, you also need a Hope Generator, and so far they don't have that. If they want to supply one, then they could do that, but outside of it, I would say that Rhaegar is probably their best option here.
Well, 5 seconds of counting, we'll get a feel for it. I think I prefer the Rhaegar slightly more. There it is, the Rhaegar and the Sonya pick up.
Alright, Sarmony on the Sonya therefore. Poik on the Genji. Mopsy on the Nubrak. Rhaegar played by Grandpa Kette, which means that we still need a hero for Shad, of course. And Experts will have to make the next move here. So we are still looking for a tank. Actually curious what Bad Benny is going to play here. They love to play their Nubrak. Whenever there's a chance, Expert immediately picks him up. They go into the Oriel, and they have now the comp, basically, that Fnatic was playing against Team Dignitas. I was thinking about that when they started the draft, but once that the Abathur came into play, I thought that they would just go away from it. So it's going to be interesting if that works, because one of the big things that Fnatic, or one of the big advantages that Fnatic had at the mid-season brawl playing it against Dignitas was that it was very new, and the opponent didn't really know what was happening, and once they figured it out, had very limited time to deal with it. This should be a little bit more difficult, and Abathur will have to do a good job soaking 2 lanes, which shouldn't really be a problem for him, while we're seeing Team Expert just simply going through the lanes. I'm wondering actually at this point if you could just simply say, okay, screw it, we're going to go into Sylvanas and try to outpush them. Just throwing it out there. I might be the dumbest idea that I ever had in my entire life, but
why don't you just get a Ragnaros and stop him?
Because I feel you can just simply retreat, wait out the Molten Core, and you switch lanes.
Yeah, but by then you've bought time. You're moving towards 10, right? You're not trying to lose too much.
Did you buy enough?
That's a good question.
So basically, okay, so they go for the Tigers. They just want to burn down the Chen here. That can work. But this is actually, I haven't really asked a question to Fnatic in particular since they came up with it. So I'm gonna ask Quacknix at some point if he feels that would be something that this comp would struggle with. So just to keep everybody in the loop here, in case you didn't watch the mid-season brawl, on Sky Temple, it was the last map in the best of 5 series between Fnatic and Dignitas. And basically what Fnatic did is they drafted the exact same comp that we're currently seeing from Expert with one exception. Instead of the Abathur, they played a Dehaka. The only important thing is that you have a solo laner that can soak ideally 2 lanes. And the whole concept is you have 1 hero soaking the lane or 2 and 4 heroes on the bottom or the top of the map. And what you're trying to do is you have the Chen at the front and he basically can't die with the double support and you just barrel through structures. So you trade the experience of waves that you are going to miss out on the other lanes against experience you gain through killing structures. Then, after you have taken a fort, you get a bit of an experience lead. You take an early boss, and with the boss, you're trying to snowball, and you try to end the game through that bot lane where you just killed the fort. And you can finish the game in roughly 10 minutes. And against Dignitas, a couple of things for Fnatic backfired, but they still won the game in the end. But once you know what's coming, it should be much easier to prepare for it. So Expert has the same thought process here. Question is just, do the Zealots know how to play against it?
And the best part, too, is this is actually a legit late-game composition you can run with Abathur and Chen. You have your volley late game as well with the double support, so if you have to, you can phase out into it. So it's a matter of whether or not they want to pull it off.
The late game becomes a lot more difficult, though, especially after your opponent hits the level 10 ability. Normally, when you're playing this, you ideally want to end the game or at least take the keep when your opponent hasn't even taken level 10 just yet. Because when we have 10, we have all of a sudden Cocoon that you can work with, and since you only have the Chen at the front line to deal with, if you cocoon him and you just push it into the back line, you have a lot of pressure building up there. So this is something that needs to snowball early on to unfold its true effectiveness. And the Zealots, they definitely watch the mid-season brawl, so they know what's coming now.
Well, we'll see the strategy and how it happens. Now, of course, let us know on Twitter what you think about this composition. Do you think it's going to work off and such? But other things you can catch on Twitter are currently polls that are happening. Twitter poll, Caldor Sky is a gray, black, charcoal, on Onyx. And you know what? It's looking to me like it's a slightly confusing tie.
I'm actually not even sure what Onyx is, but I think that poll is still open. So guys, how is that tie not gray? It's definitely not black, by the way. It's 10%, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But I'm sure that a lot of people will soon go to @Heroes Esports and vote for gray, because it is a gray tie.
I mean, I'm no math major, but 10% is definitely more than 0%. We're going to see if we can have Expert walk away with a 100% win record or not against the Zealots. Here we go. It's Sky Temple, game number 3.
Game number 3 with a 2-0 lead on the side of Team Expert, and they are playing a composition that we've seen at the mid-season brawl. They are going for the push with a double support Vala, and we have, of course, first of all, Bad Benny on the Chen, Nady RD on Abathur, Curson on Oriel, Nick on Vala, and Ethereal Angel on the Uther.
The Zealots on the right side in the red. It's looking like that 4-man push. Can they stop it? Zarmany on Sonya, Grandpa on Rhaegar, Shad on Genji, Poik on Tychus, and Mopsio playing a Nubrak.
So at this point, just to reiterate again, the idea here of Expert is to push with 4 man and use the Chen to soak a lot of the shots off those towers at the front and sacrifice minion experience, but gain additional structure experience, and therefore gain a lead over the opponent, take an early boss, and finish the game early on, ideally before the level 10 mark. That's the strategy that Fnatic played, but Zealots is just basically saying, you know what? We actually think we can outpush you, so let's see who has the faster race.
And we'll see if they can pull that off here. As a 4 in the middle, and Sonya will go to the bottom to defend. The race here for Team Expert does move up quite well once that stacks come off, but it's definitely going to be happening here. 4 on the top, 4 in the middle.
Do you know how silly this game is going to be?
It's looking pretty silly here. I don't know if it's 1% core silly, but it's definitely a silly.
This worked when Fnatic played against Dignitas. It worked perfectly, and one of the reasons was that Dignitas was caught off guard. They hadn't seen it before. But of course, what we have here is the Zealots being fully aware of what Team Expert is trying to do. They watched the mid-season brawl. They saw Fnatic pull that off. So they are saying, we're not even trying to defend. We are simply out pushing you. And as long as you don't get that experience lead you're aiming for, we are golden here. We soak the lanes, and they are actually pulling far ahead when it comes to the structure damage.
That they are, and experience as well, as they're getting closer to 4. Now, with the temples popping up, this is the question: how will the Zealots handle this process here? Will they continue to push in the bottom lane, or are they going to come fight over the temples? For now, they've left Sony in the bottom to keep pushing. Uther has gone to the top here to solo for a little bit in the area, as Thorough's going to grab as many shots as he can.
To me, it looks at this point as if the Zealots are shutting this down hard. They are doing a great job early on here. Up to the top, you have Uther holding one of the temples, a slight leading experience for the Zealots. But again, as long as you are even in experience, as long as you guard the boss that Team Expert wants to take early in the game, you're good.
Abathur being the different pickup here for Team Expert. Wondering if it's going to pay off as a Thorough just gets completely dominated there on Uther. Gets picked off. Zealots will be able to grab both the temples, and Team Expert goes for whatever they can. That currently is the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's the bottom lane that they're trying to get some value in, but to be absolutely honest with you, I'm sensing, my spider senses are tingling right now, and they are telling me that Team Expert is going to come upon some hard times in this game.
We'll see. Bad Benny taking damage here from Poik, handling that Chen really well. They come down on the bottom, and they have just seemed to lose all momentum for the moment. As Abathur has a soak in the middle, I think you're right. Zealots have completely handled this pressure.
Yeah, this game should be over. It sounds a bit silly to say it this early, but if you have watched the mid-season brawl, if you know what's going on here, then the strategy that Team Expert is trying to run has been completely shut down. Of course, they can still win this if the Zealots make a few mistakes, but the strategy that they originally were trying to follow, that is already eliminated. So if the Zealots play it right, they should win this from here on out, because their draft has a lot of tools that Expert just simply doesn't have. You can't take it too lightly here, especially since Abathur, of course, is going to become stronger than later after level 10. But at this point, the Zealots have already, from a strategy perspective, taking a massive lead here. This comes down to handling the team fights and how well you're coordinated. Who's the better team here? But the Zealots have the edge now.
I don't know. I mean, typically I don't disagree with you, but I think Expert still has a chance here at level 10. Granted, the strategy of wanting to run down the opponent, get to 10 faster, grab the boss, and keep pushing in is definitely something that is very scary, but I think Abathur Ultimate Evolution with double Vala is still just as impactful. I know Cocoon comes out later on, but you could actually take the Ultimate Evolution, help clear that out, and go in for a fight. Oriel and Uther by themselves are still scary enough.
It's definitely, it can be really scary, don't get me wrong. The main point that I'm making here with this is that you have weakness if you rely on the Chen as a solo tank, simply because you don't have any real lockdown outside of the Uther stun, and you find yourself in this awkward position where your opponent is running Nubarak that can use Cocoon, everything. So they are missing out here already a bit, and Expert should never be able to get that boss early. So if Zealots play this right in the team fights, they should have an upper hand here. But of course, depending on if they make a mistake, if they can get caught on the map, an Expert can still take this. But right now, that idea that Expert probably had going into this has been shut down by Zealots, which gives them the advantage, and a big one at that.
Oh, Nick going hard here, going for Poik. Needs to get some heals from a Thorough. Will come in just in time. Zonia, though, destroying that top lane. Rhaegar's going to come over here and help out as well. They're looking for a keep, and honestly, Abathur might need some help.
Yeah. This is exactly one of the points that I was talking about. They are not afraid to simply trade. This is one of the good things about what the Zealots are doing here. They are trading. They realize that the bot lane is already lost to them, so they can't really contest the Shrine too much in a 5 versus 5. But now that heroes have shown at the top, and especially Uther, they can start to really poke down to the bot a bit. But they have a way early level 10. And when Fnatic played this against Dignitas, they had a 2-level lead at some time, or 1.5 level lead. They had the early level 10 and took the early boss. Look at what's happening. It's not the Expert going for the boss, it's the Zealots.
Yeah, this is a pivotal moment here. If Zealots take away this boss, they really stop that normal push that you see, and they're going to be able to put pressure on that bottom left side, especially with Odin being in the mix here. Zealots going to be able to answer back and break down that 4. Team Expert has to frantically get 10 themselves.
I was wondering really if the last pick on Sylvanas would be what allows you to completely outpush your opponent and win the race. But with a pick on the Tychus, we have the Zealots, first of all, really out-pushing the Expert, but also having an amazing tool against, later on, the Chen still, thanks to what he has on level 4, the bigger they are. So at this point, they are in a great spot here. They take control over the map, and yeah, it's definitely a big advantage that they're running here right now. They also have a structural advantage, even though it's only a small one.
Well, Abathur is 10 now. They also grab Mercs on the top left side here. Expert, I like that play that allows for them to put counter pressure on there in case Zealots were to all in on this decision. The Zealots have not, though, and we're kind of in a spot here where the game becomes a little bit tied in experience, but it's all about chasing now. How does Team Expert get into a fight against the Zealots, who are going to try to rotate right now?
Also, Rega went into Bloodlust. So, first of all, in the team fights, that can really help them, but also, if they at any point find themselves in a race situation on the core, that is going to be a massive, massive boost.
That's a good point. They also seem to want to be able to get that Cocoon out and force a fight and win it instantly there, and they're being able to, with that Bloodlust, move in if they can keep a teammate of the opposing side, Expert, away from the Cocoon and clear it out. I'm actually kind of curious how these team fights are going to happen, if they even do occur. Team Expert's looking for it, though, as they start charging in. A Thorough and Chen looking for Mopsio. Can they get on the fight?
Yeah, Chen, but now that the 10s are there, it's all about Abathur timing on his ultimate evolution, of course. But here's Cocoon already used. They're going for Bad Benny. Bloodlust being used. Bad Benny gets stunned, gets Aegis. AD already is losing his copy any second, but Genji is already down, and they're still not taking Chen down. Finally, the Panda dies.
But Nick is just shredding right now. He's stepping forward, bringing out the auto attacks. Poik on the Tyke is starting to retreat, but Nick is giving chase here. He wants to get members low on Zealot's side here. We'll have to pop away as Mopsio comes around from the bush, but we're going to have Team Expert turn around and grab the temple.
The Expert did this really well in the team fight. Them saving Chen this early really helped quite a lot. The Zealots, I think, could have played it a bit cleaner. Losing Genji this early was a huge problem for them, and mainly because of the stuns that we've seen from Uther. They still are a bit ahead, but they need to be careful here. They are ahead in the game. They have a great position to finish this, but they cannot take Expert lightly. This is a very experienced team that knows how to react in these team fights and that does not panic.
Team Expert are maneuvering down to the bottom here. One to get 13, but also interrupt this temple phase from the Zealots. They're going to be looking to fight a talent down, it looks like. Ultimate Evolution is up, but so is Stormwith and Fire. Remember, Bad Benny was able to get it off in the last fight.
Yeah, just the bigger they are, should burn us. Yeah, burns Chen down nicely here. But we have now AD already with a stun going in. He has the copy on the Uther. If they can wait that out, that would be great for them, but they're in retreat.
Cocoon.
Genji comes in from behind. Cocoon for the turnaround. The stuns are there. Uther immediately with their own Stormwrath and Fire, but already we're having Chen dying, and that could be the beginning of the end.
They're doing a really good job here of locking down Bad Benny and not giving Stormwrath the Fire. When Nick not having any mana, they have to escape. He can't get the value. He needs that multi-shot. Norky turn around and try to vault away. But Expert's actually thinking they can take this fight. They're turning around 3v5 after they hit 13. They're hoping to actually go in.
Double support, pretty good. Odin used, and they don't see the Odin. They don't know about it. They have still the Abathur. They're trying to play around that. They have the damage output, but they need the stun, and there it is. Vala being attacked, being low, getting bursted down even more, but the double support is just so strong.
They turn around, they keep up with it, only using mana here for multi-shots, trying to chunk down their opponent. Abathur will have an ultimate evolution in 9. Chen is back, you're right. Can they move in? And Expert, they actually hold that fight with a 3v5 with Abathur hat until chinking it back, and they start to take the temple shots.
They let it go. I think Zealots should have been more decisive when they had the 5 versus 3, 5 versus 4 situation. They needed to drive this harder. They were all low, and there is, of course, the risk that you are making the wrong move there and you lose heroes. But now that Chen is back, that altar goes over to the Experts. I think Zealots need to be more decisive in the team fights here, or they might actually still fall behind in this.
I really love to see a Nubrak dive on Ariel and then turn the actual, when Uther's heals come out, you just turn around the fight on either the Uther or the Vala. That way you can get a kill right away. And Zealots just missing out on it. Got out poked, and Nick and crew were able to move forward, and they got shots on that bottom keep. But for both of our teams, we are tied in experience, 14.5 to 14.5. Keep still up for both of our teams. Zealots hoping to put some pressure on the top.
Yeah, they should get this one though. Zarmini takes it. Yes, Mopsio with another stun here. And Bad Benny is once again starting to jump in here. The boss is up again, so with the boss you can also make the play around the bot lane. Abathur has Mule, so that really helps if at any point a fort or a keep just goes extremely low, and he can use that continuously. Here comes the move now, and this is something that Expert is expecting. You can't tell me they are not at least thinking about checking the boss. So they are moving down. You see Vala being on the way. So Zealots are taking a fight that could... If they take this, if they really want to force this through, they need to win it. They cannot afford to lose that battle if they actually think about taking the boss here.
Either team can't really afford to lose this battle, and it's going to be a fight over the boss. Odin has been popped. The Zealots are wanting to move in.
Massive push at the top lane, by the way, thanks to the camps here. That's another big factor in this. But here comes the boss now, about to fall. And we have Chen with a triple panda going in there, trying to seal the boss here. Massive damage coming out, but Salmony is low. He goes down.
The Bloodlust really helping out here, but the Divine Storm in particular is allowing Team Expert to keep fighting back. Nick on full health and multi-shots. Let's keep moving in here. Grandpa will fall as well. 3 people taken away from the Zealots, and Team Expert turns around and heads for the keep.
And that could be game. That could actually be game. Zealots taking fights they shouldn't take, and ADRD just simply copying the supports. They have triple support in these fights. You can't kill that. It just doesn't work. And Zealots just threw the game away. They had 2 team fights, they misplayed, and Expert, even though the comp was shut down early on, I should have given these kids more credit. Well done by the Experts here. They win the boss fight. It's the one fight the Zealots cannot afford to lose. They take it, they lose the battle, they lose the boss, and now they're going to lose the game, and they are going to be 3-0.
Team Expert getting the 3-0 on the Zealots here. Finally getting a win in the HGC as well. They're going to be able to grab it today on this weekend. So congratulations to Expert. Fun little match there for game number 3.
Yeah, it's a really interesting game. This is definitely a game that I'm going to watch again, since Expert did a really good job coming back into this. But I want to look at a few of these team fights because I really think that there was 2 times when we saw Chen taken out, and then they kind of won the fight, but they had to retreat every single time instead going in. And once you have the Chen down, even with the double support and the Vala and the Abathur, you need to push that advantage and make sure that you're decisive in those fights. With you retreating, you give the opponent more and more time. And making the play for the boss down there, I don't think you really have to do that. You don't really have to take that fight. There is so many on the opponent's side, and once you have the triple support, you can outweight that because they basically can't kill you with the triple support.
Sure.
But taking the position on the point with the triple support, you're never going to kill anything.
Yeah, even the fight down at the bottom temple, I would have loved to see them commit. I think there are moments in the HGC where you have to play not to lose, and people freak out a little bit and are afraid to actually lose. But if you are afraid to go in for the engagement, that's when you start to fall behind. You slowly bleed out. I would love the Zealots in the future in some games to go through moments where they just all in on an idea and try to force it. And if you lose it, whatever, but at least you learn.
Yeah, exactly. It's really about the position. If you're on that one pit and you have a triple support in there, you're not going to lose any of your heroes. And that Vala is just, over time, chunking you down, especially since you don't have the Ancestral. So we have the last boss fight, actually, so we can take another close look at that. It was on level 15. And yeah, as it happens right here. So there's a massive push going on at the top. This is not really a fight that you need to take if you are the Zealots at level 14. You can wait this out into the late game. But at this point, they feel forced into it and they are confident they can take it here. So they move in immediately. And Nuburak, not even using his cocoon just yet. He can't use it on Chen since he already has the Trill Panda. He still hasn't used the cocoon. Now we have it. After Sonya dies, the cocoon is being used, and we're seeing just way too much heal on the side of the opponent. At this point, ADRD, he went actually into the Vala here, not into a triple support. My bad. He used the Uther earlier. And now they have the double Vala here with the double support. They simply go through the fight. If you want to win this, you have to... The cocoon has to be dropped earlier.
Yeah.
You can't just wait for Chen to sit on the boss point and hit his own ult, and all of a sudden you have 3 pandas in your face. What are you going to do with the cocoon? Yeah. So I think they misplayed the last 2 fights. The one at the boss pit and the one at the bot lane when they were able to take Chen. I think those were the crucial moments. It's, as you said, they came back. Experts did well. Should have given them more credit with that comp, but this comp should have done a lot worse after the initial idea is defeated.
Well, the best part about that, too, is Bad Benny coming in with the Storm, Earth, and Fire and making sure to use it early in that fight. The last 2 fights before that, we had moments where he waited the last second, and every single time. And Nubrak was there to try and stop it. He went in for the engage and try to knock them up and prevent it from occurring. And Bad Benny made that adjustment to make sure they can get the boss.
He had trouble in a few of the fights to get his ult through, but every single time he did, they looked really strong there. The 2 times where he died was, I believe, when he was stunned out of the ult and then got bursted down. So that Tychus pick really gave him a lot of trouble at that front, but with the double support, they could keep him alive.
Well, speaking about Bad Benny, we actually have him here for Team Expert. Bad Benny, congratulations on your victory today. Kind of liking that chin play at the end.
Going to test it live, that seems...
Bad Benny, hello. Bad Benny, can you hear me?
Nope.
Bad Benny cannot hear me, so we don't have him. But he's looking handsome right now. Bad Benny currently
I think now he can.
Now he can hear us. Bad Benny, welcome to the show. How are you?
Okay, he still can't hear us. He's looking pretty there on the other hand. I just hope that he doesn't start picking his nose or something.
He just did a nice little dance. If you guys missed out
am I live?
We'll go ahead and get to Bad Benny as soon as we can. We want to make sure we get these audio issues figured out, and we'll go forward.
I told you, don't press these red buttons.
Dude,
we have to talk about this.
Sometimes when you hit a button, it makes a really funny noise, and sometimes it breaks things. That's a risk that I am willing to take as a person, okay? I'm not going to be this guy that walks away from a button and says, you know what? I didn't hit that. What could have happened?
Okay, dear Americans, please never make this man president. Look, there's a red button. Let's press it.
Hey, you never know. A clown could pop out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could occur.
Could happen.
So regarding today's win, Expert, this is actually really good for them. I'm happy that Expert got a victory here. First off, they lost in the first week, but you know it was a really hard matchup for them. Moving forward, this is great for them because they are a team that did well. They were in the 4th slot for the Phase 1, but Expert has always been about the HGC wanting to get into the top 3.
I like them in their role. The role they had the last phase was great. When they were the hunters, the chasers. They were always attempting to break into the big 3 and take them down. And I really, really like that position for them. Every time you saw them up against Fnatic, against Dignitas, against Team Liquid, there was this one question, can they do it this time? Will they solidify a 3rd spot in rankings? So I really like them in the position. That's why I'm pretty happy that they were able to get this win here and once again just aim for the big 3. So that's cool. It's also nice to see that Ethereal fits so well into the team.
Yeah, they're simultaneously the gatekeepers for the bottom half of the standings, and they're also the adventurers trying to break into the top 3. I would put them at demigod status if we were to try and give them an actual label. Can a Thorough be that one that really pushes them forward? So far, he's been doing great for them. They changed up their lineups a little bit, have a bit of a different hero pool with them, and he's also doing well in those lanes. He is really shutting down his solo lanes.
He's a great solo laner, and he has shown that. And his mouthfeel was so strong that Zealots just simply banned him out on any other map later on.
Which is great for a new hero coming out there, especially for Expert. They've been the squad of 4 people that just know what they want to do on the rotations, and they seem to find that top laner that can just shut down every matchup for them so they can just push all boundaries. And so far, they're able to do it. Can they keep moving forward in their next couple of seasons with this roster? We'll have to see. Zealots on the other side, seems like they came out explosive, but starting to peter-patter a little bit. They're more bottle rocket than dynamite.
Yeah, I think they have a couple of things to work out. I believe coordination is still not really where they themselves probably wanted to be. But again, they had a lot of good moments there. And Expert is not an easy team to defeat. So it's not that they just got 0-3'd by one of the bottom teams within the standings. So we can expect a lot from Experts, I think, this season. So it's going to be really interesting still. But the the Zealots, after they won the initial series, it was definitely one of those moments where everybody says, like, wait a moment, guys. Don't get too confident just yet.
Yeah.
You still have to work for this.
Well, take 2 of chatting with our friend Bad Benny from Team Expert. Bad Benny, you coming out with the victory today. It's your first one of the season. How does it feel to get your first win?
Coming out with the victory today, how's the first win feeling? Okay. I don't know if you want me to read the questions or just answer. I guess answer.
Oh,
It feels good. We were a bit worried, or I was at least going into this series, given that we managed to lose our series last week. I heard something now, actually. I don't know what it was.
Awesome. Well, Kaldor, I'm having bad luck.
Yeah, it felt really good winning.
You can ask a question now,
and
Kaldor.
hopefully we can do the same tomorrow.
I actually think that our production team got very creative here and gives the odd questions.
Oh, we got him!
Do I have you?
It was like a car driving by.
A car? There's no
it
car.
It wasn't voices, it was sounds.
Okay, so our production team. I actually don't have a question right now since I got confused. The one question I would have is if they feel that this is going to be the phase in which they can establish a top 3 position for themselves. And yeah, I guess that right now we have somebody frantically in the back just typing the question to him so that he can answer it. I like it. It shows a lot of creativity and a very spontaneous approach towards the problem that we're having right now.
I do feel we have for sure the potential to be much stronger this phase and from onwards now after the roster swap. And that is the plan with it, obviously. We've had a bit of struggles recently, but feel like we're working them through and starting to improving again. So, yeah, I think this is our phase, hopefully.
Fantastic answer there. I'm absolutely loving it. But Benny, we're going to let you go at this point, I think. Thank you very much. No shout-outs today for obvious reasons. But I like a little bit of applause to our production team. I like that.
They're making it work.
Very flexible there. Yeah. That was impressive.
Getting in there and getting the questions forward. At least we got to hear from Bad Benny, which always makes me happy, putting a face with the voice and, of course, the gameplay.
But coming back to what he just said, I think it's absolutely cool because this is, again, just them saying, Big 3, we're coming for you. And I absolutely love it. So after watching this, I just want to see them again against all the Big 3 teams and see if they can pull that off, if we're going to see them at one of the offline events, if they make it to the Western Clash, for example, if they can make it to BlizzCon. So for Expert fans out there, this is going to be a really intense phase that we have coming up now, and it has started really nice so far. I'm really happy about the games. It was a 3-0. But still, just everything that it means for the standings, I think is pretty cool. Yeah,
coming around week 2, week 3, we start to see our definition. Our teams start to peel apart from each other. We get to get an idea of what tiers are currently sitting at, and Team Expert seems to be on the track here to keep moving up, but they have to continue to deliver. Let's go ahead and get ready for our next series of the day. We'll be right back after a commercial break. It's great to see you guys. This is the HGC.
In his youth, Genji Shimada lived a carefree and self-indulgent life. But when Genji refused to join his older brother Hanzo in running their clan's vast criminal empire, he was mercilessly cut down and left for dead. Bound by Overwatch and given a new cybernetic body, Genji struggled with his dual nature until the Omnic monk Zenyatta taught him to find inner peace. Now in the Nexus, Genji uses his elite ninja skills to fight for what's right. Genji is an opportunistic, mobile assassin who can tear apart a weak backline. Genji's trait, Cyber Agility, allows him to quickly traverse the battleground. When activated, Genji leaps into the air and lands at his targeted location, jumping over any impassable terrain in his path. His first ability, Shuriken, launches a fan of 3 ninja stars in the targeted direction. This ability can store up to 3 charges, and its cooldown refreshes all 3 charges at once. Deflect is Genji's primary method of self-defense. When activated, he briefly gains the Protected status, preventing all damage to himself and dealing damage to his nearest enemy whenever he is attacked, prioritizing heroes. Swift Strike serves as both a damage and mobility tool. Genji dashes forward a set distance, damaging all enemies in his path. If an enemy hero dies soon after being hit by Swift Strike, its cooldown is reset. Genji's first heroic ability, Dragon Blade, works similarly to how it does in Overwatch. When activated, he draws his sword and gains a powerful melee attack for a brief window of time. While Dragon Blade is active, hitting Q or R causes him to lunge forward and swing his sword in a wide arc, damaging all enemies he hits. X Strike offers Genji a more front-loaded heroic option in terms of damage. He leaps into the air and carves 2 giant slashes into the ground, damaging all enemies they hit. He then delivers a third and final attack as he lands, dealing heavy damage to all enemies in the targeted area. Genji is at his best when using his considerable mobility and deadly ninja skills to burst down vulnerable opponents. Cyber Agility doubles as both an engage and an escape. Talents that enhance his trait grant additional options for outmaneuvering the enemy team. Even Genji's basic attacks boast impressive mobility. After starting a basic attack, he can move while the attack finishes, allowing him to poke at his enemies while dancing in and out of their attack range. Shuriken can deal a large amount of damage if all three hit the same target, making it